guys ready today? Are you guys ready? Coming into the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many of the Force senators like yourself. Yo, I am Lord Dagovere, and it's good to see you. And it's good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, apprentices and acolytes, Force sensitives and non-Force sensitives, we are coming in here from all around the galaxy to get the knowledge. Yo, can I get, for the first time today, ready up in the chat? Let's go. Logan, it's so good to see you. Skywalker Academy, Trent, as always. Lee Hee Han, yes sir. Skywalker Academy fan, thank you. David Torres, E-Laser. Let's go. Reza in the chat. Oh my god, everybody's aura. Let's freaking go. Oh, woo woo. How y'all doing today? Love to see it, fam. By the way, guys, I totally rearranged my office so much today. As you guys can see, we now have the Knights of the Old Republic Shrine here with you, boy. Oh, Darth Revan, right over here. Yes, sir. Yes. On the other side, I got all my my Legos and stuff. It's looking good. It's looking good. It's looking good. Yes. Yes, good. Let's go. Let's go. All right? Yes. By the way, funny thing was, Logan and I all of a sudden found this account that is on TikTok. It's somebody that is literally lurking in the stream and taking clips of my stream and putting it on TikTok. And it seems like the person, I don't know. I don't understand. The person is making clips of my stream that are getting lots of views, like thousands of views, and they don't like me. They think I'm cringe, which I think is hilarious. So I think it's hilarious that this is happening. And Logan and I were like, what is this guy doing? I don't know, because all he's doing is making, I don't know. There are some videos on that TikTok account that have thousands of views. It's actually crazy. So I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's crazy. It's Leon. It's Leon. Leon. Yeah. It's a thing. Leon says I don't even use TikTok. That's actually probably a good thing, honestly. You're doing something right when you have haters. Yeah, I mean, so, all right. Here's the thing. When Ahsoka came out, you guys probably saw my reactions. When Mandalorian Season 2 came out, my reaction was taken and it was put on a really big reactioners, I think it was reactions, best reactions or something. It was someone that was a huge channel, and they were just taking up everybody's reaction and making a whole culmination of reactions, and the guy was reacting to everybody's reaction. My video was on there for Season 2 Mandalorian finale. That one was seen by Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill talks about that in the post-production of Mandalorian Season 2 for the finale. So he mentions that directly. He tweeted out that post, and then Ahsoka comes out, and then my reaction to Anakin Skywalker is taken by Nerderotics channel, who's a pretty big creator. Everybody knows him for his views on things that he likes and things that he doesn't. And my face is not in the thumbnail, but it's one of the main clips that was getting thrown around in that video about this is the reason why Disney makes slop and complete garbage. And my face was right there. Perchance. My face was right there. So ever since then, I've had exposure to people from both sides of the fandom that love me or hate me, It is what it is, I am the problem. Yes, dude. It was literally my face when that he was talking about when he says you are the problem. This is the reason why this guy, and then there was other creators as well. But I was that 50 Cent moment. It was just what he say fuck me for, what did I do, dude? I don't know what's happening, And so I think ever since then there's been stuff like that happening because I've seen my reaction on other people's stuff, and they say, "Oh yeah, it's either Lord Dagovere knows his shit, or Lord Dagovere is paid by Disney." You know, so it is what it is, bro. You know, I don't care anymore. I when I was younger, that shit, I used to get really butthurt about it, but I kind of just laugh. It's actually really hilarious to me now. You know, it's really funny. Oh man, Trent says, yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. Laser says, Logan, may I call you Weapon X? Weapon X. You got noticed by Mark Hamill. Scroll the haters' opinions. That's how I feel sometimes. I actually have that screenshot. That's actually really sick. That was talking about. I mean, it's even mentioned in the freaking behind the scenes, man. That is crazy, dude. Not Bob Iger or Kathleen or Filoni. It's Dago Smear. Yeah, dude. That's exactly it, dude. Sorry that happened. Neurotic is awful. I think everybody has their reasons for doing things. I'm not saying that, he's a good guy or anything. No, I don't. I don't support anything that he does, especially with the things that I've seen him say, especially about Ironheart. So yeah, man, I'm not a part of that shit at all, dude. I do not like those people, man. I cannot understand why people are so against the idea of people enjoying a show. But at the end of the day, too, they do get paid for what they're saying. You know, I'm not saying that they're acting, but at the end of the day, bro, like that's such a cesspool of negativity and nastiness towards people that like a certain thing and are enjoying a certain thing. And although I will tell you, I will be the first one to say how much I absolutely dislike The Last Jedi and I can't stand The Rise of Skywalker, but I will never in any way, shape, or form tell you guys ever to attack these people for their views, man, because we were these people too in 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out, and I was saying it was peak, and everybody I talked to was saying it was hot garbage. So I understand a little bit what these sequel fans are going through, and I would never put them through the same shit that I've been through, ever, man. I mean, Logan and I, you know, Logan loves a big Legends guy. I like new canon, but I also like Legends. You know, even though Logan and I talk a lot of shit about about sequel trilogy stuff, well, we're not going out and like making it our identity. You know, that's not what it's about. You know, I would actually say that this community right here is honestly what the future should be. You like Legends, I like canon. I like Legends, you like new canon. We could talk shit about it and then also be friends at the end of the day, you know, without being racist assholes or something, you know. I dabble. Logan's, I dabble. Yeah, okay, Logan. Logan's got a pretty solid account. You guys got to check it out, please. Skywalker Academy says, there's no in-between, which is actually kind of funny at times. Yeah. I mean, well, I do want to say some stuff today, too, because the reason why I made that thumbnail, I don't know if you guys saw that thumbnail. Did you guys see that thumbnail that I made today for the stream? It might be one of my best jobs ever in Photoshop, which I am not good at. I'm going to show you guys real quick what this stuff is. So this is my thumbnail because I've been talking to a lot of people that are really successful at YouTube and thumbnail creating and things like that, and they're talking about how it doesn't really matter what the content is in the video. It's really just about the thumbnail and the title. So, yeah, I know the face. So the thing is, my friend was saying, like, dude, you know, the reason why a lot of your long-form videos don't do well is because you're not memeing your face, or at the very least, you're not creating a good thumbnail. So I'm trying to do the meme face stuff, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fandom is going to love this shit when they finally find my channel eventually. So I'm going to try to do this whenever I can, you know. But the reason why I have Dave Filoni here is I saw some shit about people saying some things about Dave Filoni, and I just don't understand where this hatred is coming from. If you were showing me these people's tweets and these people's posts, I cannot tell you which one is a toxic fan or which one's a positive fan, because at the end of the day, I literally do not recognize them. I don't know where this fandom got this idea to turn into this nastiness, outspoken, we're going to have these really edgy opinions about certain things to make us really cool. But Jesus Christ, I swear to God, it is absolutely destroying the entire fandom. Every day. I feel like every single day the entire fandom gets more toxic. You know, it's like the KOTOR bar, the dial for light side and the dark side. It's like it's drifting towards the darkness, except it's more stupid and toxic. It's crazy. That's how I feel. You know, that's how I feel right now, man. You know, it's crazy, and I'm gonna get to it a little bit today when we go in this. Yo, SJ, so good to see you. Everybody, welcome SJ with a ready up. Let's go. So good to see it. Anthony as well. Everybody welcome Anthony with a ready up. You're going to poke out Dave's eye in your thumbnail. Dave's eye in your thumbnail. Yeah, I know. It's right there. It's right there. It was so funny, man. Laser says, Skywalker Academy, my wife only likes the OT. I love everything. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I understand. You know, I think I think Star Wars conversations and theory craft and debates are so fun when it's with another fan that doesn't like anything that you do, especially movie-only fans. There are so many movie-only fans that I find that have absolutely no interest in anything animation, in anything comic book and video games. All they care about is the movies because they don't see anything else as important. And a lot of fans are like that. I don't think that they're wrong. Because, honestly, at the end of the day, when you really think about it, yeah, George Lucas is not writing every single Legends book that is there. You know? So, I feel like at the end of the day, like, maybe what they're saying is making some sense, right? Because if George Lucas really cared about the movies, those are things that he's going to make the most important. So, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I know as a Legends fan and a canon fan, as an expanded universe fan, that the movies are the most important. They are the Bible of Star Wars. Everything else is supplementary content. They may say that it is one cohesive universe that's all put together, but at the end of the day, the movies are God. The movies are dominant, you know, and I think that is something that a lot of fans need to understand, including myself, that I have to keep talking about. I'm here, I read these books, I read Plagueis, I read all these other things, you know, Knights of the Old Republic, of course, New Jedi Order, awesome, it's amazing to me, but at the end of the day, live action in the movies are the most important, you know, so it is what it is. But I think those conversations with those fans are so fun and so interesting. And even when they say they don't like certain stuff, sometimes they'll tell them about, well, this happened in the Darth Plagueis book. Oh, this happened in the Bane series. And then they'll say something like, wow, that's really cool. Why didn't they put that in the movies? That is really fun when they start saying that. Anthony says those people hate for Dave Filoni is, in my opinion, is because he won't tell them what they want to be told. Yeah, I mean, I understand, but I also am very aware of, like, Dave's flaws. You know, Dave has I don't want to say a lot of flaws, but Dave has flaws because most of his upbringing, I think, is animation. And I wouldn't necessarily say that Dave is a writer, but he's a director. You know, he's a creator at the end of the day. It's just kind of like George Lucas. You know, would you say that George Lucas is a writer at the end of the day? I think that he's a great director. I think that he's a visionary, you know? He's so good at stuff, but I would never put him above, like, Timothy Zahn, you know? I know that's crazy to say to a lot of people, but I believe that Timothy Zahn is a better writer than George Lucas, but George Lucas has better ideas. He has incredible ideas that literally reshaped the entire industry, but I think that George's flaws are also very similar to Dave Filoni's flaws, you know? But Dave has a lot of these things that we're going to talk about later in this stream because I can't get it. So, yep, it's all about dialogue. Yeah, of course. By the way, everybody welcome Flint with a ready up. Logan says, Abel Penn is my favorite Star Wars author. Elazer says, Skywalker Academy, same here. Andor is peak, though. Yeah, Andor is amazing. Plagueis is canon in my eyes. Well, he is. Plagueis is canon because Acolyte. He's in Legends and he's in New Canon. So, and well, I mean, even then, he's canon because he's in Revenge of the Sith. So, even if you don't like the Acolyte, he's mentioned in Revenge of the Sith. Leon says Star Wars 1977 is one of the greatest accomplishments in cinema of all time. Yep, and that movie almost was not made. So I think it's about time that we get into the bad takes and opinions. Of course, this entire stream is not about bad takes. It's just about getting the ideas. Whatever you guys have seen throughout the entire community, I would love to talk to you about these things. Please talk it in chat, maybe link it in Discord. Let's go. But this is going to be Plagueis book is canon. Yeah, I look. So the current canon, right? Let's say that new canon has never made a Darth Plagueis book, but there is essential legends, right? That they continuously, I guess you could say, relaunch. When they do that, that to me is acknowledging that this book is canon until it's replaced. The Darth Plagueis novel goes in perfectly with the Phantom Menace. There is nothing wrong with a Legends fan saying that this is a part of the true canon, because in my opinion, there is nothing that alters the story. And there's nothing that story alters or rewrites or retcons in the new canon. Like, it's his own thing. It's completely untouched. So that story, to me, as a fan, is canon until it's not, until they literally replace the story. Even with what's happening in Acolyte, I think it still goes very well into the Darth Plagueis novel. Of course, what about Tenebra? What about Tenebra? No one's saying that Tenebra is not alive. Tenebris, sorry, Tenebris is a different character. No one's saying that Tenebris is not alive, So until we understand that Tenebris is dead in the new canon, Darth Plagueis book still stands. I don't see the issue with that. All right, so here is what I saw. And let me see if I can zoom in real quick. All right, and I am not a member. We do not attack anybody on the stream, okay, guys? No matter how whack and crazy their stuff is. This is what I saw. Dave Filoni is kind of like George Lucas if he didn't have any talent. Dave Filoni is like George Lucas if he didn't have any talent. What's also crazy is that this has 4 quotes and 1 reply. And there was a lot of people that consider themselves as positive Star Wars fans that were chiming in, agreeing with this person, and having their own take that were basically making fun of it. I'm not sure if this post specifically is satire or it's sarcasm or it's a meme or something. But reading this entire post, I just thought was absolutely silly. Absolutely silly. I understand that Dave Filoni has flaws. I understand that we have issues with Dave Filoni, especially when it comes to live action writing, especially when it comes to his scenes, especially with how much that he caters to Ahsoka and doesn't kill her off, and of course, Thrawn. Whatever is happening with Thrawn and Timothy Zahn and Dave Filoni, I don't know what's happening, but it's clearly holding Star Wars back. But to say that Dave Filoni is a George Lucas that didn't have any talent is gotta be the most disrespectful slap in the face to Star Wars animation. You are sitting there, and this is probably someone that absolutely loves the Clone Wars that is saying this and has no idea how integral of a part Dave Filoni was to that entire story. And then on top of that, Star Wars Rebels, which was basically like Dave Filoni's baby. To say that Dave Filoni has no talent has got to be the most exaggerating thing and lie that I've literally seen since Darth Nihilus is the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. Like, it is absolutely crazy that someone that calls himself a positive Star Wars fan is spewing shit like this. I don't know who this person is, and I don't want you guys to attack this person or say this, but I think this behavior is up there with, like, the toxicity in the fandom. Obviously not the racist shit that you guys have to deal with every day. But, like, this is some of the most nasty stuff that people are just going to take and influence. And it's eventually, at its worst, enhanced, craziest part, it's going to eventually remove someone like Dave Filoni from the entire Star Wars franchise. A lot of people may see that as a very good thing, but I'm telling you right now, you have no idea the work Dave Filoni is putting in behind the scenes for these other stories that are trying to ruin Star Wars, AI in Star Wars. You have no idea how much Dave Filoni is probably defending all of the great ideas that are in the expanded universe in Star Wars canon. Dave Filoni was a fan. Dave Filoni was doing cosplay. Dave Filoni is like one of the only people that has read Legends, and although he has said silly stuff, like, well, George never saw that as canon, which I don't agree with in terms of, like, them lowering its importance, Dave Filoni is still someone we need. Is he someone that could run the company? Is he someone that could make the next best story in Star Wars? No, I don't think so, but he's still a huge, huge component to the franchise. This has got to be one of the worst takes of all time. Straight up, man. Yeah, and I know, see, Logan is also someone who's very critical of what Dave Filoni has done to Legends, especially characters Scourge, and, Thrawn, of course. There's a lot of stuff that I think a lot of Legends fans will throw at Dave Filoni in terms of, like, insulting him and trying to take him away. But even Logan, someone is like, I'll defend my enemy on this one, Filoni. It's just like, it's crazy, in my opinion, that we come from a fandom that is supposed to, really enjoy a lot of this stuff, but a lot of people that I see these days that are like, it doesn't matter if they're left or right or up or down, whatever, dude. It's just like they are saying the same thing, man. It's crazy. I don't know, man. I'm gonna read your guys' comics and then I'll continue because I don't want to continuously talk, even though it's my stream. Yeah, we'll get to your stuff, Landon, in 1 second. Make sure you repost it just in case I miss it. Elixir says, me too. Skywalker Academy says, I have to agree on that one. The only thing I thought that wasn't canon was the Lego games. Actually, there's an entire freaking visual dictionary for the Legos, man. It's crazy how much effort they put into the Lego stuff. Elixir says, I love Star Wars animation. Yeah, same, man. I agree. Boo AI in Star Wars. Yeah, from what I've heard from a lot of the people that have worked closely with him is that Dave absolutely hates AI. So if Dave Filoni is someone that you guys are going to continuously attack, you're gonna lose an ally that is literally probably one of the biggest defenders of keeping artists and creating art in Star Wars. And you can say things like, well, there's a lot of people that really dislike art, really love art and dislike AI in Star Wars and Lucasfilm. I'm gonna say you're wrong. And I'm not talking about the artists. I'm talking about the people that are like putting money into Lucasfilm, people that want to make products benefit the most and don't have to worry about the receipt at the end of the day because they're just trying to make more profit than they are losing money. I'm telling you right now, guys, like, you're attacking the wrong guy. I hear you on the critiques, but come on, what are we doing? Yeah, Dave Filoni's culmination movie is Star Wars project, and I'm looking forward to it the most. I hope it happens. I hope it continuously is brought to realism because I want to see more of what he has. And I think he gets better every time, but I think that he needs assistance, especially when it comes to screenplay and dialogue. And also the characters that are not his, like Thrawn, It's crazy. Skywalker Academy says, I've always said Dave is a great storyteller, but he's never been the greatest writer. Yeah, but I think, again, like, when you look at masters, especially in Star Wars, they all fundamentally have the same flaws, right? Especially when we're talking about Skywalkers. But George Lucas, I think, Dave Filoni is so beautifully molded into George Lucas's apprentice because I think they have very similar flaws. I think they have very similar shortcomings, but it's not many. I just think that it's so glaring now because there's so many people that really, really love the Expanded Universe books, and they finally understand to see how good those books are, no matter what anybody says. And there's a lot of people that will continuously say, that stuff was never canon. Well, it doesn't matter, bro. It's been there for 40 plus years, so people are going to hold it like very important to the Star Wars. Like, it has a lot of value to a lot of people. So whatever you say, no matter what it is, whether it's a fact or not, these people don't care. And Dave Filoni is someone that reads that stuff and understands how important it is. And at least you're getting a version of it, although it's not a version that you want. But when they see how good this can be, and then you're using the same character over and over, or you're having the same flaws, or it's member berries and bringing back this character and that character, people are going to be pretty outspoken for it. But I don't think that George Lucas had the same type of conflicts that Dave Filoni has today. I'm not talking about criticism. I'm talking about, like, streaming and how there's new projects, and you have animation, and now you have TV, and now you have movies. I think there's a lot of stuff that Dave Filoni has had to learn on his own, And I think he's also somewhat in the twilight of his career. What is he? Was he like 50 now? He's like 50. So he's probably got maybe a good like 15 years left, I would say, about like trying to do this stuff every day, But I don't know, man. I think attacking this guy is just such a wrong move for the Star Wars fandom, dude. Nothing wrong with criticism. But I think this type of stuff is completely toxic and is not helping anybody. I think you're only making the fandom worse. Logan says, I dislike the world building under Filoni most of the time. Good character writing, but the expansion and implications toward the greater universe flop. I liked Ahsoka, how it built and went out of the Star Wars galaxy. I thought that was probably the best world building that we've got in live action since like the prequels in the original trilogy. Like, that's why I love Ahsoka is stuff like that. and Anakin Skywalker in the Force and World Between Worlds. Like, it really helps me understand, like, what Force ghosts are doing when they're not trying to, mentor someone or ruin a farmer's life, So I appreciate that. But yes, there are also things where, like, I look at Sabine, and I really did not appreciate her character arc in Ahsoka because I felt like that probably should have been maybe more drawn out with like a couple seasons, or maybe that should have happened in a movie of her struggling to be a Force sensitive. I don't know, man. It's there's a lot I think that we can pick at, but I don't think that this guy is as bad as anyone is saying, man. It's actually kind of crazy. Elaser says, in my opinion, Jon Favreau and John Watts are top tier. Yeah, absolutely, especially Jon Favreau. I think Jon Favreau is underutilized even right now. David Torres says, Dave Filoni is great, but he does change canon all the time. I think canon is going to change all the time because I think there's so much more to keep tabs on. George Lucas would come out with a trilogy once every, 20 years? 15 years or something, So, and then, of course, the animated stuff. So there's way more to try to figure out and execute. I'm not saying that it's harder or Dave Filoni or George Lucas had it easier. I'm just saying that everything is complex, and I don't think anyone has a single answer to it. But, man, I honestly, dude, I genuinely, I feel like Dave Filoni needs help. I'm not saying hire someone like me. That would be awesome, but I think Dave Filoni needs more Dave Filonis. A really interesting stuff is the Star Wars Visions. I think that Star Wars Visions is Season 1, particularly. I did not like Season 2. But Star Wars Visions Season 1 is really interesting because that anime, I felt like it fit so well into the Star Wars universe. And it seems like that there are, from what I've been hearing, is that there are a lot of people that love Star Wars. They are huge fanatics. They are expanded universe fans. They're like, literally, a lot of these people that worked on Star Wars Visions literally saw Star Wars, the original Star Wars as kids, and that's what inspired them to be animators, was because all the work that was done in the original Star Wars. I'm not sure why Lucasfilm hasn't tried to work more with these studios, create more projects. If you really think about it with Visions, right, and how that was, I just feel like Lucasfilm Visions animated studio can be this whole brand new era of Star Wars stories that literally inspire the next generation of fans and start creating the next 20 years of Star Wars stories. Anime is a fantastic medium, but it's not even just about the anime part. It's about like how incredible these writers are, the imagination that they have, the creative waves of using the Force like never before. And I think Dave Filoni could really use a lot of those creators in there, because there are some dogs that worked on Star Wars Visions Season 1. And from what I've been hearing about, Star Wars Visions Season 3 might be better than Season 1. So what are we doing? Where are we at? The art is right there. And if you want to make money and create some incredible stories that everyone's going to remember for the rest of your life, I don't know, man. Those studios are right there, and I think they're licking their chops to get an opportunity. Filoni doesn't care about canon. I disagree. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, because I think there's a lot of people that pretend to think that they know what Dave Filoni thinks about or knows about. And just because Dave Filoni says this one thing in an interview, I guarantee you have no idea what this man thinks behind closed doors. This guy might be the biggest Star Wars fan. He might be the biggest Tales of the Jedi fan. He might be the biggest Knights of the Old Republic fan. But because so many people are shitting on his current work, why would he ever acknowledge those stories when he's being criticized so much? Everybody has some sort of ego, including myself, including you, right? That's just how it is. I think I do a certain thing really well. They think they do a certain thing really well. I think I'm very good at being myself, even though sometimes it makes me look cringe as hell. Dave Filoni probably thinks he does this really well because he learned under George Lucas. you know? And I think he has every right to think that. But to say that he doesn't care, especially from a guy that literally cosplayed as Platoon for the Revenge of the Sith movie when he went to go see it, I think I think people saying that he doesn't care about canon is wrong. I just think it's wrong. I think it's inaccurate, you know? That's just my view. But I legitimately think that he cares about continuity so the story makes sense. Yes, of course he's going to say animation and live action are more important, because that's probably what George was telling him when they were making these stories until he started making animation. But I don't know, man. I mean, like, do you think George really cared about animation until he started making animation? Of course he had these, like, different views of, like, where the stuff was going in video games. George is very outspoken about that in a lot of his interviews and stuff. But maybe it takes, like, an apprentice of Dave Filoni to bring this next step. Okay, now video games and animation are important, and so is books and comics. You know, I don't think that we're there yet. I don't think Dave Filoni is going to get there because he's so focused on the now, you know? But I think it's important to understand the level of responsibility Dave Filoni has and how much he's going to be scrutinized, because even the people that are continuously talking shit about him now were the ones that literally want him to literally own the company and be where Kathleen Kennedy is. And it's so crazy how quickly people turn cloak because he put a female character in this show, or he did this with this Legends character, or he terribly wrote Thrawn. You know, it's crazy. They're going to love you, then they're going to hate you, and they're going to love you, and they're going to hate you. So I think that Dave Filoni should just keep doing what he's doing, and whoever is next in line is going to have a huge responsibility, you know, to surpass everybody else before them, which is insane. Good luck with that. If it's me, I'm shaking in my boots and I'm getting all the help that I can get. I'm just saying that is like, in general, like what I would do. And there's a lot that I would do, but I don't know anything about what happens behind closed doors. So it's basically me talking out of my ass, you know? Hyde says, yes, the art of animation and miniature work is so important. Yes, I agree. Skywalker Academy says we need more Visions stuff. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think Visions is one of the most slept on Star Wars projects, man. I think that is so incredible. Some of the stuff is a little whack, but majority of it is peak. Yeah, Industrial Light and Magic being created for Star Wars and its connection to Henson Studios is so intriguing to me. Yeah, there's Photoshop, there's Adobe, there's a lot of stuff that George had to create just for those things. Leon says that's my weird personal hot take, like Lord D not liking Spider-Man. I'd rather see 2D animation than 3D animation in Star Wars, but that's fine. Like, okay, like again, you guys know how I feel about 3D animation, okay? Unless it's literally Blur Studios from Knights of the Old Republic and Star Wars: The Old Republic, it's gonna look like VeggieTales, and that's a problem. I literally just was watching The Incredibles the other day, and oh my god, that is like more VeggieTales than the Clone Wars animated series. Oh my gosh. You know, thankfully, things are a lot better now, but still, it's just like, man, if you really want to break the mold, I think that this stuff, the fidelity of the way these things looks, it needs to look better. Even the way that it looks in Tales of the Underworld and Tales of the Empire, it looks good, but it still is not good enough, in my opinion, for full-grown adults to sit down and immerse themselves. We live in a very closed-mind era where people don't even want to read books. You know, they believe that the earth is flat and all this other stupid crap. So we need to make sure that Star Wars is as shiny and beautiful as ever so we can continuously hook these people into the stories that we're trying to tell. You know, everything is cake. Everything is junk food, and we need to make sure that it's living up to the next best thing. Is that Arcane? Is that Attack on Titan? Is that Jujutsu Kaisen? Whatever it is, it needs to look better than the hottest new toy out there, just like Star Wars always was supposedly doing in the 1980s. And I think that's a bar that needs to be set by Star Wars alone. And I think that's a responsibility that hasn't been taken under consideration or even met because Disney or inflation or whatever excuse you want to throw under there, you know. But that's just me. I'm very radical about that view, and I understand if I'm wrong. It's okay. You guys can call me out for Yeah, I forgot he cosplayed as Plo Koon. Yep, he did. Leon says 2D. We can get Darren Fronsky style. See, that's fine too. You know, I personally feel like it should be more anime, hand drawn. You know, there's a lot of anime out there that I think looks really good, but there's also stuff out there that I think people say looks good and it doesn't look good to me. You know, but I don't know. Star Wars needs to have its own identity. Like I'm a really big believer that Star Wars needs to look and sound and feel like Star Wars. Does that make sense? You know, when you see a lightsaber, right? That is like the only sound you can get from Star Wars. It is a very important tool to Star Wars and telling Star Wars. You know, like this is the only thing. This is an ingredient that is so important to Star Wars that you can only get it from here, right? And the Force, stuff like that. I think we also need to have like how the animation looks, the sound design. Andor, in my opinion, Andor is like beautiful. Beautiful. You imagine if every project looked as good as Andor. I'm not saying it needs to be like Andor. I'm not saying it needs to have the same writing or the same style. No. I'm saying like if you were going to take a single screenshot of Star Wars randomly and show this to people, they all need to understand that this comes from Star Wars. And it's not about showing a picture of Darth Vader or a lightsaber. It's a random screenshot from a scene from a show of Star Wars. And I think that if you did that with the current media, the current projects, I think a lot of people would hesitate to tell you that this is Star Wars because they'd be very confused. This is Star Wars? That doesn't look like Star Wars. It doesn't sound like Star Wars. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. And I think that's a problem that Star Wars has today, because I think Star Wars has an identity crisis in terms of how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel, you know? And I think that just all comes back with execution, you know? I think that a lot of the way they tell stories is limited. And I think it's limited not just because of the creators behind them, but because of the resources that they're trying to tell the stories with, you know? I think you need to have, just like ILM was like dedicated to creating Star Wars scenes, you need to have that Lucasfilm animation studio that is working with these people, you know? They're making these stories, you know? And that's all that they're doing, which is, of course, what Clone Wars is, you know, or The Bad Batch is, or Maul Shadow Lord is. But, like, I think it needs to be brought to a higher level. And I think you need to do that with live action as well. That's how I feel. 3D animation has a limited scale. I think so. I think 3D has a limited scale because we haven't seen anything from Star Wars that really sets it apart from everything else. I think that if they push the boundary more, that's probably a question of money. It usually is money. You know, that's all it ever is money. If they push the boundary somehow, and if they were backed as if they were backed like Andor, like if you got Bob Iger in there and told him, hey, bro, get on this ish so we can literally make the Bluey of Star Wars, you know, or if we can literally make the Arcane of Star Wars, you know, like, okay, let's do it. Let's make this ish looking better than Tintin, you know, let's make this stuff, you know, sound better and have more passion, you know, than the Prince of Egypt, you know, like there's a lot of stuff that I think that you can do, but I feel like a lot of this stuff is not controlled by Lucasfilm at the end of the day, and I think that's what's really holding Lucasfilm back, you know. But if you had the backers like they were backing up Andor, and they really wanted to make something look good, I think they would. You know, not to say that Tales of the Underworld looks bad, or Shadow, what is it called? Maul Shadow Lord looks bad from what I've seen, which isn't a lot. I just think that it still could be better. That's all. I just think that, good, you did this, cool. I think that we can go further, you know? That's how I feel. I wouldn't roll out the possibility, though. In fact, it's probably only a matter of time, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Logan says live action is even more limited scale. Not a lot of ships, empty locales. Andor was a big exception, but yes, Andor. Like, I do not expect a Star Wars show ever to look like Andor again, and that's just a tragedy, guys. Like, to me, it's so unfortunate at the idea that Andor is going to be the only good-looking Star Wars ever again because how much money they drained into it and how much they were allowed to drain into it. It's so crazy to me that when you're telling a story that you're limited by Hollywood like that. No. You know, like, why are we not able to do this every time? But it's always money. It's just like, well, you know, yeah, it looks so good, it looks so amazing, but at the end of the day, we only made $300 million or $400 million on it, which isn't enough for us, you know? So, who knows? Tython was so empty. Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. Leon says that road from Skeleton Crew looked like something from my neighborhood. Yeah, yeah, that I did not really enjoy that too much. I just thought it was too human. You know, I just thought it was too human. But I love Skeleton Crew. I thought Skeleton Crew was really, really good. Anthony says, Dave is the same kind of fan that we all are. He's told us this over the past 10 years. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. People aren't listening. You know, people aren't going to listen. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how much of the fact that you're going to show to these people, you can't make the blind see. You know, Elaser says, is everyone excited for Mandalorian and Grogu? I am. I'm excited for it. Honestly, though, I'm going to be really shocked if Grogu doesn't have some sort of time skip growth spurt at the end of that movie. Like, if the end of that movie is literally, like, not the Armorer and the Mandalorian literally, like, making more armor for Grogu, and then they go to hand it over, and then all of a sudden Grogu's, like, full-grown hand comes into the picture grabbing whatever it is, and then you finally see that Grogu is well into his age now, I'm going to be really shocked. Like, I'm going to be, like, so shocked that did not happen. Make sure you guys clip that, too, because sometimes when I say something, it might happen. So, we'll see. I'm just throwing it out there in the universe. But I'm going to be, like, so shocked that if something like that doesn't... I think that's going to be such a huge missed opportunity. I actually believe that is the whole reason why you're having a movie, is because Grogu is going to grow, and he's actually going to be a character now. I actually think that's I literally think that is the main reason why that entire movie was greenlit, because they probably said, hey, this is what he's going to look like now. This is what he's going to sound like. This is why we're having that movie. I'm pretty sure the entire idea of the movie was literally greenlit on a full version, a full-grown version of Grogu. Skywalker Academy says, Andor should be the standard for all live-action shows. It's Star Wars, for God's sake. Exactly. But Skywalker, that's the thing, though. It's like you and I have that understanding. Logan has that understanding. I think even people at Lucasfilm have that understanding. But it's not them you have to convince. That's the whole... I mean, that is the limitations of when a company like Disney owns them, is now they can't go balls to walls. Have you guys seen, and if so, are you guys fans of the Alien franchise? Alien Romulus came out last year. Was it last year or this year? I can't remember. I think it was last year. Alien Romulus came out last year, and that movie had like a... Let me see. I think it was like a $60 million budget. I want to see how much it was. Alien Romulus budget. Let's see. Let's look. Alien Romulus had a budget of $80 million. Do you understand how less of a budget that is? That is, in my opinion, like way below the standard average in Star Wars. Okay. Alien Romulus. Yeah, it comes out today. I think I'm gonna watch it after the stream. Alien Romulus literally looks like one of the greatest looking movies. The people that were on this movie in the set design, I literally said to myself while I was watching that movie, I'm gonna go right there and go poach them for Star Wars. I'm literally hiring everybody that was on set design and props, and I'm bringing them to Star Wars. I could not believe how incredible that movie looked and sounded and felt. And you could tell that these things are props, but it looked so good. The whole stage of all the sets were just so beautiful. The blinking lights, man. That movie looks so good for $80 million. And then you have The Acolyte that has over $200 million. And look at that looked. That's what I'm talking about. You know? And again, I'm not hating on The Acolyte. I'm just using this as a measuring stick to help people understand best bang for buck. All right? $80 million versus 210, 230, however much that was. You know, like, that's a problem, dude. That's a problem. I am never going to understand what issues and conflicts happen when it comes to production, especially when it's Star Wars and the volume. But, like, dude, like, there were so many sets that they made for Alien Romulus that look so much better than a lot of Star Wars sets that we've seen, especially coming from volume projects like Kenobi. You know? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah. Yeah, man. Very frustrating. Very, 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 very frustrating. New Alien show came out today. Yes. Leon says, me, pass on what you have learned. The lesson, do that or not. Yeah, exactly. Elaser says, well, I would hire them as well. It was perfect. Yeah, I think it was. I love that. That was actually my second or third favorite. I think it was my third favorite Alien movie. The first one, the second one I like. That one was freaking awesome, though. I was so surprised how good it was. All right. So let's get on to the next thing. Fans need to pass on what Star Wars taught us, or Star Wars will become lost. I think that's a generation problem. I think a lot of people these days are very like, go with the flow. Let's hate on this. Let's love this. You know. And until Star Wars catches on to the point that it can trick people into loving it again, there's only us. You know. All right, so this one. So let's look at this one. This one was also really interesting. And says, Hayden Christensen says he'd return for a Darth Vader Star Wars spin-off in a heartbeat. If the powers that be decided a Vader spin-off is something they want to see, I'd be there in a heartbeat, 100%. I would love to. How do you guys feel about a Hayden Christensen / Darth Vader live action show? How do you guys feel about that? I feel like, for me personally, honestly, I'm not sure why it hasn't happened yet. Because I feel like if you're gonna go out there swinging, I think you need to go out there with your best weapon. And I think Vader is by far one of the most important characters in all of cinema. He's like one of the greatest villains, if not the greatest villain of all time. Darth Vader is, you know. The thing about Darth Vader is, for me, there's a lot of people like this. There's a lot of people like this. Dave Filoni is the kind of George Lucas doesn't have any talent, are going to absolutely shit on something like this. You know. But you know how you shut them up? You make it the best goddamn story ever. You have the best choreography ever. You make this show so damn good that people that even criticize it are so obviously wrong because it is that damn good. You know? There is so much Legends continuity and new canon that you can literally take Star Wars stories that we've seen in the 2015 Vader comics, okay? And also in some of the Legends continuity that we've gotten in the past freaking 20 or 30 years. You know, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Hello, you know, even the enemy, Enemy of the Empire comic with Boba Fett and Darth Vader. There's a really cool storyline there of Darth Vader hiring Boba Fett because Darth Vader wants this head that is actually alive, and it's a fortune teller, and she eventually predicts and shows Darth Vader's future of him trying to overthrow the Emperor. Which I always thought was like really interesting because of Return of the Jedi. There's a lot of like story that leads to that. And you see a lot of that now with new canon and how they're kind of showing like, oh, Darth Vader was always going to, you know, fight the Emperor, but he was scared. There's a lot of really interesting stories. I'm not saying he needs to go out and hunt Jedi. There could be other other things. There could be other conflicts. Maybe he goes and finds the Yuuzhan Vong, or the Grisk. Or all of a sudden, hey, Vader, we have you. I need to send you over here to this one planet. It's called Lihone. There's something going on there, and we don't have any amazing pilots like you to get there. Oh my gosh, and look what it is. It's some acolytes of the Beyond that are trying to recreate the Star Forge, and Vader has to absolutely wreck every single one of them and blow up Lihone and the Star Forge. There's so much that I think that you could be doing to not only enhance the sequels, but to literally create some of the greatest Star Wars stories. And Vader series is right there. Like, imagine this. Give me Alien Romulus, but a Darth Vader story. Right? Where Darth Vader is on this space station, or in Lost Command, maybe there's these Venator class Star Destroyers that were lost for years, and some smuggler finds them and gets picked up by the Empire, and it turns out that there's maybe the Blackwing virus on it or something, and Vader is sent there to destroy it with his Inquisitors and Enforcers. And I don't know, man. I just think that there's a story that's there that you can do, that it absolutely has no effect to the rest of the story, and it makes sense for Vader only to be there to absolutely just destroy and annihilate anybody that comes close to him, man. Even something that was like Lords of the Sith, where the beginning of this book, Cham Syndulla is watching all of his freedom fighters get absolutely destroyed and bodied by Darth Vader, and they're watching it all on a body cam, or a camera and body cams, and it's the first time that they've ever encountered Darth Vader, and all they hear is everybody screaming, flashes of red, and Darth Vader breathing. It's just like, it's totally glazing Vader. Right up that edgelord status for all these fans to ooze on. But if they love the Rogue One scene so much at the end of that, which Dave Filoni directed, by the way, imagine a whole movie of that, but with story, actual story. I don't see how you could go wrong. Oh no, another Darth Vader story. Oh no, please. I'm going to be mad about you giving me more ice cream, man. I don't know. I don't even think it needs to be a series. I think it can be a one-off movie. Why not? It's your boy. Get him in there. Give him a popcorn box. Make some freaking money. Make 400 mil right there. Come on. What are we doing? That's literally a whole stream I could talk about, man. I feel like I'm saying, what are we doing? I need to, I almost say it as much as let's go and everything else these days. Also, guys, please, if I'm talking to my ass, please call me out. I don't want to be one of these streamers that thinks he's just some egotistical asshole that, no one's challenging him. Please humble me. Skywalker Academy says, I'm 80-20. It would be wants it so bad, but the other part of me, you would want it so bad, but the other part of you would be should he need a show, just adapt those comics and I would be happy. Yeah, I mean, I love the Vader comics. I would be okay with that too, but I want something new. I don't want to reread a comic, even a Legends comic, but I think there's things that you can do, that would be amazing. Do you imagine Sidious sending Darth Vader to Dromund Kaas because he wants Vader to get him this old holocron that has knowledge of Vitiate or Revan, and then Darth Vader has to go and track it down into Dromund Kaas, and then ends up finding Tarantatek, and then a whole underground area where all this potential archaeological Sith stuff was, very similar to how, I don't know, Darth Bane roamed the tombs of Korriban, I don't know. See, this is why I can't talk about this stuff, because I enjoy it so much, and then I'm going to be so mad when it's not made. I will, if you literally pay me $1 every day, I will literally just make ideas. One of them will work. It doesn't even have to be the whole idea. You can just take a piece of it, and you could take that. Skywalker Academy says Vader in the Dark Temple. Ooh! That's Drummond Koss. That's Drummond. Don't even get me started, bro. Don't even get me. I love my Dark Temple so much, man. Elazer says, I think stick with movies and only one animated series. Animation is cheaper, and you can add legacy characters without AI BS. Yes, 100%. David Torres says a Vader spinoff would be awesome. We need this. I agree. I think it would be good. I think if you want to bring back a lot of diehard Star Wars fans, give them what they want. Give them what they want. Why not? Why? What is the problem with making a good Star Wars Darth Vader stories? Because you've done this, you have this, you have this. Okay, but he is like the guy, man. Come on. You know? We can have all this other stuff. All this other stuff is happening too. There's nothing wrong with everybody feeding. Jedi Connor is one of the coolest people, and he says this himself. Star Wars is a buffet. If you want to have orange chicken all day, bro, knock yourself out. Those are the Vader fans. All right? You want to have ribs like me? Yeah, let's go. You want to have pho? All right? Let's go. You know, you want to have corn and mashed potatoes and pizza? You want to have vanilla ice cream with M&Ms? Enjoy. You know, everybody likes everything else. You know, they got the pyramid, they got the food groups. I feel ya. But sometimes I just want to chow on some fried rice. You know? It is what it is, bro. Maybe some quesadillas, maybe some carne asada. Okay? Come on, man. SJ says Vader movie show. Yes, I agree. I think it has to be a movie. I really do. Show me Vader struggling with Anakin in him. Clashing with Palps and killing Jedis. Quinlan? Oh, that would be crazy. Be dark, but don't get me any Jedi hope. Happy ending. Okay, yeah. I don't think it should be like edgy Lord, you know, super dark, but I think it should be Vader, you know. And I think Vader, I don't think we see enough of Empire Strikes Back Vader. That's what I want to see. I want to see witty. I want to see tactical. I want to see majestic and graceful, where he's literally like going down steps and levitating down, which we haven't seen in Star Wars in live action in a long time. Oh, actually, no. The Acolyte did that, which was pretty cool, by the way. That was like one of the coolest things. I ain't gonna lie. And of course, third sister in Jedi Fallen Order also did that magnificently, might I add. You know. Yes, Eros Compollo. Yes, exactly. Okay? All right? You're hitting my Hispanic veins. I know. You know. Someone called me white the other day, and I know I am white. Okay? But I'm Puerto Rican and Cuban too, all right? So, you know, so if you're going to call me white, make sure you say white and Puerto Rican and Cuban, okay? All right? Okay. I'm just saying. Leon says, someone in the Discord server pitched this, I forgot who, but Mace Windu returning and dropping the first F-bomb in Star Wars would be one of the most iconic moments in franchise. I don't know. I mean, like, I know Marva was supposed to drop the first F-bomb, but I don't know. It's Samuel Jackson, so I wouldn't be upset. I would probably laugh, you know? I just don't know if it would work, that's all. I don't know. Skywalker Academy says, Darth Xana's show has literally been on my mind for like 2 weeks. Yeah, man, I don't know. You guys know how I feel about the entire Tales of the Jedi, Knights of the Old Republic, Darth Bane, the Sith. There's so much there. It's a whole new world, man. You know? The thing is, too, is like you don't even have to tell stories in the same line, right? And what I mean by that is, like, you can tell stuff that's parallel, adjacent. Parallel, of course, a lot of people are going to say, like, multiverse. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a timeline that's happening at the same time as the prequel trilogy, or Order 66, you know, or The Phantom Menace, in a whole other galaxy, you know? I think one of the coolest ideas is, like, let's say Oh my god, I love this. Okay, like the Dawn of the Sith, right? The Golden Age of the Sith, Tales of the Jedi stuff. The first, the first few schisms in the Jedi Order, and then of course, which I love so much, is when the Jedi outcast the Dark Jedi. Okay, the Dark Jedi, right? And the Dark Jedi just go off, and they're being called, right? And they end up finding Korriban, and then they become the first Dark Lords of the Sith. I think that's one of the coolest parts of Star Wars that has never been told. But what if there was also like renegade Darksiders that were just like, you know what, you guys found this place. This place isn't really calling to us like it's calling to you. What if they went out in like an outbound flight and ventured out into a whole new galaxy? And that entire time, and that thousands of years span it out, and we're making their own societies with like other Darksiders, other Lightsiders, and just became this whole other thing of Force users. Still have some variant of like the Force ideology, but it's completely twisted and different from the Jedi and the Sith that you see today, because they broke that chain, they broke that mold, and they're disconnected from everything else that we've seen in the Star Wars galaxy. You know, that's why I really liked Ahsoka's idea with going to, outside in the galaxy, which is where was it? Where were they going? I can't even remember. Peridia. I don't know, man. It's a whole universe, and there's only one galaxy that they've been exploring in live action. There's so much, Like, I think that would be so freaking cool. David Torres said, that's right, my homie. Be proud of who you are, my boy. That's right, bro. That's right, bro. Let's go. Vamos, baby. Okay? All right? All right? Skywalker Academy says, yes, let him cook. Let him cook now. You guys get me hyped. All right, it is 9:06. All right, so let's look at one more. Oh, yes, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I wanted to talk to you guys about this last week, and we never did. So, really interesting perspective here when it comes to Disney Star Wars and Star Wars stories, okay? So, oh, no, I didn't do that right. Okay, so let's look at this. We have Andor viewership by almost 40% from the end of season 1. Andor viewership increased by almost 40% from the end of season 1 to the end of season 2. That's amazing. That is so good, guys. I need you all to clap. Let's go. Can I get a let's go in the chat? Let's go. So, that's really good, because Andor, in my opinion, as amazing as that show is, I think its biggest struggle was, I guess persuading the rest of the Star Wars fandom to watch it, right? That show is fantastic. It needs more pride. If you guys are out there, have someone try to watch Andor. Like seriously, I would love to see everyone's take that hasn't seen Star Wars and watches Andor. That's amazing. But here's where the fun does not begin. Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped 16% after its limited run. I can't stop laughing at Andor cheating on... Jin? You talking about Jin? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll never... I don't know. It's just weird. So Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped to 16% over its limited run. Of course it did. Like, that show didn't look good. The soundtrack, I thought, was just not great, man. I was actually watching the last episode again today, and there's things that I like, but man, that soundtrack, whoo! And then sometimes, I don't know, man. There's just stuff that I don't like about that show. So I'm actually surprised it's only 16% that it went down. So listen to this, though. Ahsoka dropped nearly 31% over the entire season. That is wild. That's crazy. So, you guys know, Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars project. Now, favorite does not mean best. Favorite does not mean best. Favorite does not mean best. It's my favorite because Anakin is in it. That's it. I just like those episodes. That's it. Okay? But 31%? That is so crazy to me, because then if I take my non-biased Anakin Skywalker glasses off, Ahsoka might be one of the worst Star Wars projects then. Like, it's probably like bottom 4, I would say, if that's the case. Right? I don't believe it's that bad, but what the hell do I know? Because these people, everybody else is saying that it's trash, you know? And here we go, ready? The Acolyte dropped nearly 33% over its run. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think Ahsoka's a better show than The Acolyte. I think Ahsoka's a better show than Kenobi. I think Ahsoka's a better show than the Book of Boba Fett. I don't think Ahsoka is better than anything else, you know? But yeah, I don't think Ahsoka is better than anything else. So that's, I don't know, man. But that's sad. So what is happening with these shows? Why is Andor going up? Why is, and you know what's interesting too is the Mandalorian is not even mentioned. So it's like Mandalorian has this entirely different fan base that they're only watching the Mandalorian, and it's probably because it was the first Star Wars show ever, live action, you know. So maybe there's this like untouchable thing that it's there. Everybody loves it. Hera's son is a dumb design, not gonna lie. Why give him green hair and not Leku? But do you think... No, okay, so hear me out. Okay, so... Dave Filoni is a fan of the expanded universe. He doesn't have Leku because he's clearly going to be Jason Solo. He's Jason Syndulla, but this kid is clearly going to be Jason Solo. The reason why his hair is green is because his mom's a Twi'lek, and the genetics of the Twi'lek made his hair green instead of giving him Leku. That's how I think it is. I don't know if that's actually the statement, but I would assume that as a human, as a Darksider, Jason would probably be cooler looking if he had human hair. Green hair? He's pretty young. His hair may change over time. He's a hybrid. Who knows what he has? We've never really seen that in live action Star Wars. You know? I'm just spitballing here. But I would say that the green Leku on a child would probably be very different, and I don't think the fandom, live action fandom, would really be open to testing that and absorbing that. That's just how I feel. I think green hair is more digestible in Star Wars than baby green human Leku, if that makes any sense. You know, yo, Ryoko, so good to see everybody. Welcome, Ryoko, with a ready up. We're going to be almost done here in like 5 minutes, though. Jason Syndulla is going to turn to the dark side soon. I think so. Hear me out. Hear me out, okay? I think Jason Syndulla is going to be trained by Ezra, and I think that eventually Jason is going to struggle with not having a father, and I think that Jason is eventually going to turn to the dark side. That's how I see it. I've even in my first Ahsoka video when I was reviewing it, I was calling him Jason Solo because I thought that he was going to be doing that. So yeah, no, I think that he very clearly is going to struggle with it. I think that Ezra is not the perfect Force user. Obviously, you know, Hera clearly is going to have issues with the rebellion and stuff like that. So he's going to have issues as well. I think his upbringing is going to be really interesting with no father figure. And I don't know, man, that's how it is. That's how Star Wars is. I don't see Ezra turning. I think Ezra is way too good. I think Ezra is way too mature now. He's almost like this. He's almost like a completely different character, you know? Leon says it exactly. This whole thing seems like what the sequel should have been. That's exactly why Ahsoka is my favorite show. That's exactly why Ahsoka is my favorite show. Because it does everything that I wanted the sequel trilogy to do. And this isn't like me thrashing Rey or Finn or Kylo or anything like that. It's just like if Ahsoka was a part of the sequel trilogy, which I felt like she should have been, mentoring Rey or something, you know, if Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost showed up in the sequel trilogy, you know, if Thrawn shows up in the sequel trilogy, I think that you give the same storyline and everything. I literally think that the sequel trilogy is improved infinitely. Does it fix all of its mistakes? No. I'm just saying that it's better. Like by a lot. Okay? Like I really cannot tell you how much that a Force Ghost Anakin Skywalker scene will help Rey and just the entire audience like liking and paying attention more, you know? But sequel trilogy has its problems. It has its strengths too. I just am fanatically in love with the character of Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, and I just thought that he was missed, and I thought that there would have been an opportunity to bring in characters from the expanded universe like Thrawn. That didn't happen, and Ahsoka did all those things, and that is why I give Ahsoka way more appreciation than a lot of other people do, is because it did what I want the sequel trilogies to do. That's it. That's why it's my favorite. It's not the best. I would even argue that a lot of parts are not good, but I still really enjoyed it. You know, I think Ahsoka is my Acolyte, where a lot of people that I talk to love the Acolyte. You know, they love it, but you know, that's my Ahsoka. A lot of people, I say that, hey man, Ahsoka is my favorite, and they roll their eyes like, what the? How could you like that show? What the fuck? You know, it's crazy, you know. But I'm excited. I'm going to be excited no matter what. So this whole thing seems like, well, the sequel trilogy, this is why I'm hyped for Filoni's movie. Shame Ezra tapped and got mature through that. I would say, yes. I mean, yes, over time, and of course his master died. And I just think that if Ezra turned, it would just make no sense anymore because Kanan is gone. And then, of course, he was gone on Peridea for so many years. I just think that it would be a complete character crucifixion. You know, I think it would be up there with Luke Skywalker's. Like, it would make no sense to me. Elazer says, I love the sequels, but they should have been set 100 years in the future. I don't have a problem with that idea. Ryoka says, Sabine turning to the dark side. Thoughts? Potentially. I don't think that is a bad take, but I question... Maybe Jason Syndulla turns to the dark side and kills Ezra Bridger, and Sabine turns to the dark side that way. You know? Leon says, really hoping they deliver. Skywalker Academy says, excited for Ahsoka 2. Me too, fam. That's something that I've been thinking that should have happened regardless whether the sequels were good or not. Yes, absolutely. I think the further you tell stories, it's really cool. It's so funny. There's actually a huge story I was working on a while back for my version of like what episode 10 would be, and it's like 2,000 years in the future. Logan says, not gonna lie, Ahsoka show felt like a cosplay fanfic. I actually enjoyed the build-up, but I felt it flopped at the end. Oh, yeah, of course, yes. I wasn't too much of the way that it ended in the final couple episodes, but I really love the Anakin Skywalker episodes. I did not like the first two episodes. Yeah, I liked Peridea. I thought Peridea was really cool. I just thought when they got to Peridea, there was nothing else there. Yeah, I thought that it was going to be so much more. I liked Baylan walking and finding the Overlord statues. That was really cool. Like, that is something that I felt like should have been right after that Anakin episode. That's not the way it should have been. It should have been like, this story should be happening now, you know, to send you off and figure out. Hopefully it's way more expansive in the second season, and I hope it is, you know. But I think that's going to be it today, guys. If you guys have any more questions in the next, 2 minutes, I will probably be getting off and getting ready for this new Alien show. Logan says, Peridea was so empty. Should have had more. Yeah, see, so we're on the same. Yeah, we're on the same level. Yeah. We're on the same level, Logan. Like usual. We're on the same page, honestly. I get it, man. Trust me, Logan, I 100% agree with you. Basically, like Filoni fantasy sequels have nothing to do with the previous games. Yeah, I get it. For sure. Ryoko says, "What if Sabine Wren turned to the dark side?" Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. I think that it would be plausible for her to turn to the dark side if Jason Syndulla turns to the dark side because he's struggling. You need a dark sider like Lumaya, which maybe could be Shin, and then Jason eventually turns, kills Ezra, to basically sign him off, and then maybe Sabine turns to the dark side, or at the very least taps into the dark side because Ezra has been killed. I don't know how the fandom would like that, but I think story needs to happen. You just probably need to not make the same mistakes that you did with Sabine that you did in the first season. Yes. Bye-bye, fam. Deuces. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Logan says, I'm still mad we haven't seen Ahsoka meet Luke for the first time. I wanted that reaction. Like they've met for the first time that we've seen, but they've never actually met on for the first time ever on screen. Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying, man. Yeah. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. Please always check the shorts Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And, of course, get inside the Discord where all the homies are, all the cool people are. Please, fam. And, check out Instagram. Please, let's go. Get on there. Instagram, Threads, Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it these days. Please, man. But thank you so much, guys. As always, coming into the Dark Temple. Visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many of the Force sensitives like yourself. I'm Lord Dagovere, fam, and I'll see you around. Deuces.